Hello everyone, and welcome to today's video. My name is Tracy, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make this bee mandala shaker card. Today we're gonna first I'm going to show you how you can make your own homemade wreath builder, so to speak. I bought one, it's not here yet, and I have another one that I kind of made, but I want to show you how you can make your own. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this Sizzix double-sided stick paper, it's light sticky tacky, and you're going to cut two pieces to 4 inches by 4 inches. And that's going to make up your little template here so that you can get your stamps down. You will need a stamping platform for this particular method, but most of us have one. If you don't have one, I mean, you can eyeball it, but that's going to be rough. So I'm just going to lay this down onto my Misty. I'm using the Misty stamping tool, and I'm going to pull up the other side of the backing paper. I'm going to take the backing paper off of the second one. I swear I will. And I'm going to place it so it's lined up with all of the lines there. And just kind of hold it and move it around until I get it to exactly where I need it. And then you'll pull up the backing paper again. And that becomes your template. So then you just take your 4-inch square paper, lay it there, and then when it's time to move it, you lay it and line it up with the second one. I have a miniature one from Gina K, but I'm going to do my own makeshift one that I did with some silicone sheets that I purchased. They're so sticky, it's hard to get them in there. It's not that they're sticky, it's that they're sticky. I mean, they don't move, okay? And that's just some kitchen liner. And then I made mine, and I'm gonna line it up with the cross lines so that it's lined up from top to bottom, side to side. It's not that easy. It's gonna be a lot easier if you have the wreath builder, but I don't have it yet, so I'm going this way. And I'm getting close to the right alignment. There we go. Good enough. Good enough. So you see that I've got my paper on the square side there. And then when I'm ready, I can turn it to the diamond side. But one thing is that it's time consuming, and this is what the little template looks like, and you just lay that in your stamping platform, and then you can lay your square paper, but that's only what, 2 3/8 inches, so I need 4 inches for what I'm trying to do. And I'll be using the little bee stamps from Fairy Hugs, and you can get those at the Fairy Stamper store. But I'm going to use all 5 of the bees, so we're going to have a total of 40 bees on this picture. But before we do that, I need to add some color. So I'm going to get out my Catherine Pooler inks today, I think. And I'm just going to use 3 colors, and you can use any ink you have, or oxide, or whatever you have, whatever's on hand. But I'm going to be using the Cummerbund, the Lemon Chiffon, and the Pucker Up. And I'm going to use some little finger blending tools, and I'll be blending in a circular motion. And guys, this does not have to be perfect. It's going to be covered with bees anyway. The whole point is to just make sure that my background is colorful. I mean, honestly, you could color in all those bees if you wanted to. I'm just going to start with the circular motion in the center of the paper, or as close as I can get it, with the lemon chiffon, and then I'm going to go in with the pucker up and just circle around it, and it's going to blend in and make some orange there. I just like the way these three colors blend. It's a super popular blend. And then I go back over with the lemon chiffon just to kind of reinforce those colors. Now my cummerbund, and I apologize, it's really dry. It's a popular color in my arsenal. And so, and I didn't buy the re-inkers when I bought the set, so I need some re-inkers, but I'll get to that. And what it does is when it mixes with the pucker up, it makes kind of a purple. And that's what I'm after. I'm after kind of a rainbow here. And I just kind of blend it in. Again, it does not have to be perfect because it's going to be covered up. So then I'll go back in with the pucker up and, you know, reinforce the purple in that. Just kind of going in a circle. And then I'll just complete this with the cummerbund because it's also going to be cut out. So, you know, what's happening on the corners doesn't really matter. I still fill them in just because I just need to. I don't know. I just need to fill them in. But most of that's not really going to show. I'm just going to put away my stuff, and then I'm going to get back out my stamping platform. Wipe up my mess there a little bit. And using the template that I created there with the grid paper, this is just some kitchen grid from QVC. I'm going to line up my first, and always start on the square side when you position your stamp. That way you get good positioning, because if you start on the diamond side, it might not work out right. So I'm going to go in with my first little bee, and I'm going to position my little bee right around here. I want most of the yellow to show through. And just lift up my stamping platform lid, and I'm going to use the Black Soot Archival Tim Holtz from Ranger, and just get my stamp juicy and stamp it down. Might stamp down twice until the stamp kind of gets itself conditioned. Then I'm going to turn the paper to the diamond side and ink up my stamp. See, I don't move my stamp at all, just my paper. And you see it's starting to make that circular pattern. Gonna turn it again, and I'm always turning anti-clockwise. Sometimes I mess up and turn it the wrong way, but it's okay. Any way you want to go. Yeah, I'm just gonna stamp down the next little bee. And it's so cool. I love this technique. Move my paper again, stamp in the same place. And as you start stamping, your stamp kind of gets conditioned with ink, and you only need to press down once, so it goes a lot faster. But the first couple of stamps, you know, kind of got to fight with it a little bit. Already looking cool. Got one more, so you're gonna stamp 8 times each time around. And then once I've got that done, I'm going to put it back into the square position because I want to do a different bee now. And let's go in with, and you can do all the same bee, you can do fairies, you can do whatever you want. And I'm going to go in with this little sideways flying bee, and I'm going to set him up so he's not really touching, but he's real close to the other bees. And then just set my lid down, lift it up. Sometimes it'll pick up your paper, no problem. Just put your paper back, it's close enough. And then I'm going to do him twice. Like I said, you got to kind of condition the stamp. And I'll go ahead and stamp that circle off camera. And there we are, that one's finished. And so I'll go in and choose my next one. Same thing, start out with the square side. Choose your stamp. Let's get that little bee off of there. Get a different little bee. And I'm going to get this little flying bee right here. I'm going to position it again so it's not touching the others, but it's very close. And yeah, see, it'll lift your paper, but it's okay because you had your paper positioned already and you know where it goes. So I'll stamp the first one down and then I'll stamp the rest off camera. I don't know if you want to watch me stamping 40 bees. See how the paper's stuck? That's okay. And I'll go ahead and complete that. I'll stamp one more so you can see. Now, if you had the template, of course, you'd probably get a little bit more accurate, but this is good enough for me. I'm going to select another stamp and look for my placement, and I'm going to do the big one now. Make sure to turn your paper to the square side before you decide on placement. And I just want him in there, him or her. Want the little buzzy guy in there in a comfortable spot. I'm going to lift my stamping platform. Yeah, it's stuck to my paper, that's okay. And then I will go ahead and make sure that's positioned again, ink up my stamp, and press down. And he's stuck to the paper, that's okay. He's on there. I'm going to go ahead and turn my paper and stamp the rest of the circle off camera. Okay, so we finished that one. We'll get him cleaned up. And now we have another little bee we need to get into there. Because I wanted to use all the bees in the kit, in the set. So I'm going to position my paper again. Select this little bee. He goes the opposite direction of the second bee that I stamped. Go, let's see, well, let's get him turned sideways a little bit there. Just want good fit. That's the main purpose of that, is just we want him to fit because it's a mandala. So there's no rhyme or reason other than this one's made up of beads. I'll go ahead and stamp that first one. Yep, I like the placement, so I'm going to go ahead and turn my paper. And repetitive process, real easy, but it can be tedious just turning and turning and turning. And it's okay if he stamps off. I'll go ahead and complete that off camera. Okay, so I've got all my little bees done here. Isn't that pretty? I'm going to go ahead and pull that off my stamping platform and put my stamping platform away. And now I'm going to find my circle, my Hero Arts Infinity circle dies, and find the right size, because it is going to be a shaker, so I need to have some room around it to be able to pop it up. Yeah, where'd those dies go? There they are, because I just used them recently. I'm going to go ahead and select a die here, and I'm just going to put it up against the paper and see how the fit is, and that's fine. It's fine. It'll work just perfectly, because the paper itself, the card base is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I'm just going to kind of get that lined up in there, and I'm going to tape it down so it doesn't come up when I cut it in my die cutting machine. I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. And sometimes my machine can run a little bit slow. I'm not sure what's going on with it, but there we go. Go ahead and just pull off, carefully pull off the tape there, and I'm going to go ahead and use my little pokey tool to remove the rest of that tape. I cut off all my fingernails because I kept breaking them trying to scrub them, the ink off, so I said forget it, I'm just cutting them all off. Be done with it. But then it makes it impossible to pick things up, especially off of this silicone mat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a card base, but I need black. I want to stay with black on this one. So I'm going to grab my paper trimmer and a piece of black cardstock. And this is just black cardstock that I got from Amazon, generic cheap, but it is 110 pound. So I'm going to cut that into 5.5 by 4.25. And I'm cutting, I need 2 pieces. There we go. And what I want to do is I want to take and tape the 2 pieces together, kind of, because I'm going to put my die cut on both pieces, or my die, and it won't cut through both, but it'll mark the spot for my placement for my bee mandala. So I'm going to grab my little die and its tape, and I'm going to place it on there, and I'm just kind of eyeballing it where I want it. Once I get it where I want it, I'll stick the tape down. And then I want to make sure before I put it in the die cut machine that it is completely square with itself, so that there's nothing hanging over. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. Okay, so we've got that cut out, and you see it just left an impression on the bottom piece, which is exactly what I want because it's going to be perfect for placement. And I'm just going to pull everything apart, carefully take off my tape. And this is mint tape, by the way. You can use washi tape or, whatever you have or like to use. I've been hearing something about a yellow tape from Spellbinders. I'll have to check that out. See, now I can perfectly place my little bees. It'll fit just great. So I'm going to go ahead and glue down the mandala there. And real easy to place because I had that little template type thing. Let me get that up out of the way so I can show you what I'm going to do with this piece. Now this other piece, I am going to tape it with some 1/4 inch double-sided sticky tape. And this is a brand new roll, so I'm going to have to go through the torture of finding the end. Luckily, it's not like that clear tape stuff where you can never find the end. And I'm just going to lay down tape, and I'm going to make sure it doesn't hang over anywhere. I'll be putting acetate on top of this, so I want to get tape all along the edges because I'm going to put a full sheet of acetate. I don't see the point in cutting it out. Just, I'm not going to do anything with the leftover acetate that I cut out that I'm aware of because there's not enough of it to really do anything with. You get any hanging over, just trim it off. I put a couple pieces of tape. That one was there. Where is it? Ah, it's stuck to my finger. This stuff's good and sticky, I'll tell you that. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my pokey tool after I burnish those a little with my finger and just pull the backer paper off. And fight with it sometimes. That's okay. It's funny working with sticky stuff and you stick to it and it's just crazy. I'm going to go ahead and use, I've got this Judikins acetate that I've had for a long time, but it is full sheets. It is embossable, but I'm not going to do any embossing. You could if you wanted to. I'm just going to lay that down on there, and then I'm going to trim off the excess. And there's probably excess because I didn't get it laid down straight. That's okay. It's handmade card. I'm not going to see it anyway. So now that I've got that all stuck down, I'm going to grab my strips. These are not the Doris ones, they're the scrapbook.com. I'm going to get it started, and then I'm going to pull off the backing paper so that it bends around the corners easier for me. And I'm just going to completely cover this circle here. Standard shaker card making here. Just try and get that one on straight so that when I butt the other one against it, there's no space for it to come out. Now I'm not going to be putting glitter in this. And I'm just going to pull this back a little bit because I'm not going to use that whole piece on this part. I will be using the whole piece because of course I've got to reinforce the rest of the card. Just want to make sure those stick together really well. Now the rough part about this is that, you know, you need to add like some anti-static powder to the sides of the tape, and you know, you end up getting powder on the tape, which makes it not want to stick as well. So I will be using glue to make sure that that sticks down. And I'm just putting this same strips here all along, and you can make it a bigger shaker, a higher one if you want, but I'm just using some very flat sequins and mica flakes in there. And as you'll find out later, apparently a piece of my hair too. Somebody's getting my DNA. Can't help that if my hair falls out. And I don't see it until it's already stuck down. Just going to put a couple more reinforcing pieces here, and then the tedious job of pulling off the backing of all of that. And then you know, you can actually stack multiples of just the paper and not even have this this double-sided sticky foam, but I did it this way this time because I don't want to, you know, that uses a lot of paper that I don't really want to use. So I've got these little flat, I think they're called Confetti from Honeybee Stamps. I'm going to put some in there of the sunshine color and some of the sea type color, so it picks up all the colors that are in the mandala. And I'm just going to grab a small pinch of mica flakes. I don't like to put a whole lot in my shaker card, just enough to make it shake, make a noise, and make some pretty sparklies. So I'm going to go ahead and do my anti-static powder around this tape here. And then I do like to wipe off the acetate afterwards. And then I'm just going to place glue. And this, by the way, is my reptile adhesive. So it's not really glue, it's adhesive. And I like to do that for a couple reasons, just to give me a little bit of wiggle room when I'm trying to lay that down, and to just reinforce that it stays stuck together. Because, you know, I've had my hands all over that sticky tape. I'm standing up here as I lay that down, just so I can make sure it's centered. And I'm not worried about the glue showing through right now, because it's the it dries clear. And then secondly, once it's completely dried, and that you won't see me doing that, but off camera I'll be using a black pen to fill in that space so that you can't see the white through it. So I'm going to go ahead and just glue this down to a black card base. And this is some card from Simon Says Stamps in the black licorice. And I've got my card now. All I need is this little sentiment. And my little discs are sticking to the sides anyway, but it's okay. It still looks pretty. I like it. So I'm just kind of tapping to try and get them moving around and it unstuck, but they're just going to be stuck. It is what it is. I'm sure yours will come out much better. I'm nothing wrong. I'm not mad at how this one came out, not a bit. I'm just looking here for what kind of sentiment I want to put on here, and I think I'm going to put these Tim Holtz. I'm going to put the word celebrate. And I don't know about you, but when I take these out and they're backwards, I can't always tell what the word says, but I use celebrate enough to recognize it. But I don't want it in white. So I'm going to take a piece of card scrap And I'm going to get back out my little bigger daubers, and I'm not going to re-ink them at all. I'm just going to lay down the color that was already on there. And in the same, the cummerbund and the, what was the pink one called? I forgot the name of the colors. Anyway, you'll see them in the beginning of the video. I'm just going to go ahead and place that, and don't move on me. And send that through my die cut machine. Now these are delicate little guys, and I fight to get them out because that T likes to get stuck right there. So if I fight too long, I just end up ripping the paper so it'll come out. And then I'm just going to go ahead and poke out the little holes, the little spaces that are supposed to be there. I'm going to like that. That's going to look good. Now with these little sentiments like this, I actually like to take my tape runner and just use tape. Especially when I'm working on black card, I don't want any glue peeking through. So I'm just going to lay that on there. Once I have it where I want it, I'm going to press it down, and there we go. Hey, if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. Consider subscribing to Fairy Stamper YouTube channel, and visit us on Facebook at the Fairy Stamper Hugs.